Canada, home of maple syrup and very deceiving restaurant names, as well as being the second largest country and largest monarchy nation in the world. Hang on, can we hear that again? As well as being the second largest country and largest monarchy nation in the world. That's right, some of you might not know this, but Canada has what is called a constitutional monarchy. You might be wondering who the monarch of Canada is. Well, as of the time I'm recording this, it's none other than Queen Elizabeth. Oh yeah, that's right. It's this guy. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, isn't this guy the British monarch? Well, you would be right. King Charles III is also the King of Canada and 13 other countries, many of them being small island nations in the Caribbean that you likely have never even heard of before. However, recent polls have shown that most Canadians do not want to continue having the monarchy as the head of state. In this video, I will explain what would likely happen if Canada decided to ditch the monarchy and become a republic. Before this video begins, I just want to mention that this video was made solely for educational purposes, and in no way was made to voice any opinions I or anyone else have on the current government and monarchy of Canada. Starting off, why is Canada's head of state the British monarch to begin with? Like many other modern-day countries in the world, what now makes up Canada was colonized by the British. The Dominion of Canada was formed on July 1st, 1867 and retained the British monarch as the head of state. When many other British colonies became independent, they too also retained the British monarch as head of state. When Queen Elizabeth II became queen in February of 1952, at her peak, she was queen of 22 independent countries called Commonwealth realms. However, at the time of her death in 2022, this number dropped to just 15. As of the time I am recording, the 15 current Commonwealth realms are Antigua and Barbuda, Australia, the Bahamas, Belize, Canada, Grenada, Jamaica, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Solomon Islands, Tuvalu, and the United Kingdom. The Commonwealth realms are also members of the Commonwealth of Nations, which consists of 56 members, the vast majority of which were former British colonies. 36 Commonwealth members are republics, and 5 others have different monarchs. Now that I have talked about why Canada still has a monarchy, let's now get into what would happen if Canada were to abolish it. Starting off, this might come off as a surprise, but despite the fact that most Canadians do not want Charles III as their head of state, in reality it would be very hard to cut ties with the British monarch because of the Canadian Constitution, as it would require the House of Commons, Senate, and all 10 provinces to agree on it. No, the 3 territories don't get any say. However, let's just pretend that all 12 entities agree to abolish the monarchy. What would happen? First off, let's talk about what the government would look like. With the abolition of the monarchy, Canada would most likely become what is called a parliamentary republic. Although there are many types of republic governments out there, a parliamentary republic, to summarize, has a head of state elected either by the parliament itself or by citizens of the nation who has a largely ceremonial role, with most of the power being wielded over to the prime minister, who is the head of government. This is similar to a constitutional monarchy where the monarch has a ceremonial role. The difference between it and a parliamentary republic is that the head of state is inherited by one rather than the parliament or citizens choosing them. Examples of parliamentary republics include Ireland, Germany, and even India. This leads to the question, if Canada were to abolish the monarchy, let's say tomorrow, who would become the president? Well, it could be either one of 2 people, the current Governor General who represents the King in Canada, or the Prime Minister. With countries that have recently become republics from Commonwealth realms, choosing the Governor General seems to be the more popular choice. When Barbados became the most recent republic in the world in 2021, their Governor General at the time, Sandra Mason, became the president. Therefore, if Canada were to abolish the monarchy tomorrow, Mary Simon, the incumbent Governor General, would more likely become the President of Canada, with Justin Trudeau retaining the office of Prime Minister. Now that we have figured out what government Canada would likely have post-transitioning, what about symbols? For starters, one that will likely have to be redesigned would be the National Coat of Arms, as well as every provincial and territorial coat of arms, as many of them have references to the monarchy, with the most common of which being a depiction of the crown, and that they are the official coat of arms of the Canadian monarch in the right of that province. 3 of Canada's provinces also feature a Union Jack on them, those being British Columbia, Manitoba, and Ontario, which means these flags could, but not necessarily, be redesigned. One flag that won't be redesigned, however, is the Canadian flag. It used to have a Union Jack on it, but we took care of that in the mid-60s. Finally, although not a symbol, Canadian passports will have to be redesigned as the front cover features the coat of arms, and the first page of said passport references the British monarch. Now, kind of like the provincial flags, although this would be unlikely and unnecessary, let's pretend that I am the Prime Minister of Canada and I pass a bill stating that any place named after British royalty has to be renamed as soon as possible. Which places will it affect? Well, for starters, number one, there are probably a million places in Canada named after royalty, whether it be British or French, and two, it would take probably forever to rename every royalty named place in the country if the Canadian government tried to remove all mentions to the royals. However, for the sake of this video, I've chosen the most notable ones that would be renamed if they had to be. I'll start west in the province of British Columbia. Starting off, the name of the province is British Columbia. If this no British royalty place names bill I made for this video would be passed, the province would likely just be renamed to Columbia. BC's capital, Victoria, is named after, well, Queen Victoria. There is also Prince George, named after King George III. Just like BC, the province of Alberta will have to be renamed. You're probably wondering why. Was there a member of the royal family named Alberta? The answer is yes. The full name of Princess Louise, the fourth daughter of Queen Victoria, is Louise Caroline Alberta. In Saskatchewan, the provincial capital of Regina is named after Queen Victoria. The city's name is Latin for Queen. Speaking of Victoria, there is a smaller city in Saskatchewan named after her late husband, Prince Albert. We can skip over these three provinces as there aren't any notable places named after royalty. There is Dauphin, a city in Manitoba that is named after royalty, but this is referring to a French prince, not a British royal. Moving over to New Brunswick, the province of New Brunswick is also named after George III, and its capital Fredericton is named after his son, Prince Frederick. I'm going to skip over Nova Scotia as well for the same reasons as the other three I just skipped over. And finally, we are at the island province of Prince Edward Island. PEI is named after Prince Edward, father of Queen Victoria, and the province's provincial capital of Charlottetown is named after King George III's wife, Charlotte. We can also skip over the territories as there aren't really that many places named after British royalty there aside from maybe some islands, but those aren't interesting. Finally, what about Canadian currency and stamps? The $20 bill and the obverse side of all Canadian coins feature the head of state, so who will replace them? Well, I'm not sure. In the case with the $20 bill, it would likely go up for Canadians to vote for who would be on the new bill, kind of like how Canadians are right now voting for who should be on the new $5 bill. For coins, however, I'm not sure. Maybe past prime ministers, perhaps? But aside from that, this is pretty much all that would or could happen if Canada decided to abolish the monarchy. Again, this video was made for educational purposes only. You've reached the end of this video, so if you enjoyed it and found it interesting, be sure to hit the like button, and if you're into content like this, you might as well subscribe to the channel as it helps out a lot. This is Geo today, heading out to go eat geography for breakfast.